Have you ever wondered why it's so hard to let your kids or even yourself make mistakes? Today, we're exploring how growing up with anxious, over-involved parents can shape us as adults and what we can do to rewrite that story. Welcome back to Fulfillment Therapy. I'm your host, Kendra Nielsen, and today we're tackling a topic that hits home for so many of us. What happens when we grow up with helicopter parents and how we can break free from those patterns to find more fulfillment, confidence, and peace as adults, parents, and partners. But before I jump into that, I want to tell you about massive savings that is happening in just a few days. So if you go to fulfillmenttherapy.org, we have the biggest discount we have ever had on everything. So that's all of our courses. That's coaching 25% off. So the code is GIFT25 from December 5th coming up to January 5th, 2026. So that's 1 month of this year, 2025, December 5th to January 5th. 25% off. It is ridiculous. I will never give that big of a discount on so many things again. That is simply because it's our very first holiday season giving all of those things out. And I want it to be very available for you to see just how much value is packed into that. For those of you that don't know, I deliver 10 times what this is worth. If you sign up for any courses, you know this is above and beyond what other people get. So check that out. And if you need that extra accountability, you can get that coaching as well from me or my team. So you can access all of those things. And remember, those 6 courses that are available are for personal growth, marriage, and parenting. And then we also have 3 courses if you want to start your own podcast and create those positive ripples in the world through whatever it might be, maybe mental health, physical health, whatever it is that you specialize in and you want to get your voice out there and impact the world for good. We will teach you how to do that in strategic ways so you become one of the top globally ranked podcasts in such a short time. So check those out if you want those. Like I said, you have 1 month to access it. Like I said, you only have 1 month to use that code GIFT25. So go and check it out. So I was talking to a client several months ago, and she told me that she wanted to hear a lot more about how helicopter parenting can affect you once you grow up. Now, for a lot of people in past generations, it was the other extreme. There's a lot more neglect, but that's changing. And I'm seeing more and more in my clients that they come in and say, no, my parents were over involved. So this client talked to me about how it was really hard and even annoying when her mother would just do things for her too much. It was not something she asked for or even wanted. And for a long time, she didn't even have the words to explain it. But over time, she felt very anxious, like she was incapable. She must be incapable because her mom would always jump in to save her. But now, as she's seeing her mother doing the same things to the grandkids, and she's seeing that same thing play out in her own parenting, she's recognizing this desire to want to change that. So, does that resonate with you? Do you feel like you jump in too quickly? Do you feel like you're always trying to fix things? Do you feel like you're trying to save your family from natural consequences and robbing them of lessons that could really help them? But you're not really sure how to pull back from that. And you recognize now that it's because that's how it was modeled for you. We're going to talk about that today and what to do about it. Here is a quick example. So, one example of helicopter parenting might be you checking your child's homework every night and calling their teacher about minor issues, or even handling conflicts with their friends, especially when they don't ask you for help. But you're like, oh, no, I'm helping. And if you find yourself justifying these behaviors or over explaining yourself, but it's causing rifts in relationships, you're likely a helicopter parent. You might be overprotective or over involved and hovering, stepping in when you're not needed because you're afraid for their safety or their success, and it doesn't serve them. Dr. Deborah Gabola said this: "It's a tricky line to find, to be engaged with our children and their lives, but not so meshed that we lose perspective on what they need." So let's talk about some signs and symptoms in adulthood. Are you often looking for approval or reassurance when you make a decision, even as an adult? If so, you may have had a helicopter parent. Maybe you're an adult right now that can't even plan a vacation without asking for advice from a bunch of people, especially your parents, when you have to make a decision like vacation or anything else. Or maybe it's a spouse that avoids financial decisions because they're afraid they're going to mess up. Maybe you have a fear of failure or a low self esteem. Do you have a lot of anxiety? Like a lot of these things are symptoms that result from somebody that was too quick to save us. Or maybe you have poor emotional regulation. Do you struggle processing emotions or having any intense feelings because you didn't have enough experiences growing up that had natural consequences and gave you those heightened emotions as you experience disappointment and setbacks or any of those things? Maybe you notice that you have an over dependence on your parents, especially for their approval, for their help, even as an adult. And it undermines your relationships right now as other people resent you for that and as it complicates those relationships. There's one quote that I read that I'll put in the show notes that said, children of helicopter parents have higher levels of anxiety because they have been protected their whole life and get anxious when challenged. Do you notice that in yourself? Is this resonating with you? Or maybe it's somebody you know. Maybe it's your spouse. So, how does this show up as parents and spouse? We repeat that cycle and become helicopter parents ourselves when we step in to shield our kids or even our partners from pain or even micromanage their choices. For example, my client found herself emailing teachers about her child's grades, just like her mom did for her, and thought that she was being helpful, but their child didn't even like that. Or it might be a spouse that tries to fix every problem for their spouse rather than just supporting them through it. This creates relationship strain, and that over involvement can create some tension, some rebellion, or emotional distance, not only from your kids, but from your spouse as well. As always, this is often tied to not being able to set and maintain or communicate those boundaries. And maybe you struggle saying no. And that in turn leads to its own challenges and leads to burnout and resentment. And that can create major wedges in the relationship moving forward. So, how do we break free from it? So, maybe you do notice that this is an issue, it's a generational thing, you want to stop it. So, what do? It starts with awareness. So, good thing you are listening to this podcast episode, but also setting and maintaining those boundaries. That comes with communicating those things. Listen to some of my past podcast episode on boundaries. Just do a quick search for it, and we have plenty on our blog as well. And when you feel that urge to jump in and save someone, you can always go to journaling instead, stepping back, taking a walk. You can call a friend or text somebody and say, hey, I need extra support so I don't jump in and say yes, or I don't help when they don't even need it or want it. Get some mentors, step back a little bit, and don't be so quick to solve it. Sit in that uncertainty and that anxiety and normalize it for yourself with some compassion and remind yourself, hey, this is an opportunity for them to learn, and I don't want to rob them of their ability to thrive and create that greater self-reliance. And if you still feel a little stuck, please see a therapist. They will help you with that extra accountability. They will give you the tools, and they will help you notice patterns that you may not notice yourself. Dr. Deborah Gabol also said, experiencing failure and overcoming challenges teaches children new skills and, crucially, that they are capable of handling setbacks. So here are just some quick practical remedies. Allow for those natural consequences, not only for your kids and your spouse, but for yourself. That increases that resilience that I was talking about. So if your kid forgets their lunch, let them experience that mild hunger and problem solve with them next time. Say, oh, I'm so sorry. And you don't even have to over explain, but then you say something like, when you get home, we can talk about it and we'll have a snack together. Just they're going to be okay. Also, encourage that autonomy and offer choices instead of instructions. So don't just sit there and lecture them. Nobody likes that. You can ask them questions like, what do you think you should do? As always, when you're in the thick of it and you just want to jump in and save them, use those self-regulation tools like mindfulness, deep breathing, going on a walk, exercising, whatever you can do to manage that anxiety that it stirs up in you so you don't jump in to save them. And last but not least, celebrating those small wins with them and being transparent about what you're trying to do and why and how you want to break that cycle so they don't resent you like sometimes you resented your parents when they jumped in too quickly to help and what that did to your mental health. Not as a blame thing, but to remind them that you want more for them, even if they don't understand it yet. So I want to go back to that story of my client. She really is thriving in so many incredible ways. And it is this daily journal to manage that anxiety that really began with her mom jumping in too much and, in a sense, teaching her that the world was not safe and that she was not capable. So she's having to still rewrite those neural pathways to remind herself that, hey, I am capable and I can let my kids struggle and I can lean into that struggle myself, even though that wasn't really modeled for me before. And I can break that cycle now with my kids and even my grandkids. My friends, helicopter parenting can leave deep marks, but we can break free from that and build more fulfilling lives by being more self aware and having more self compassion. Set those boundaries, learn more about that, allow for natural consequences. Seek therapy and support wherever you can. Change those generational patterns. One last quote by Dr. Deborah Gabola. She said, "The challenge arises when parenting is driven by fear and decisions are made based on what might go wrong. It becomes difficult to remember the valuable lessons children learn when they aren't directing every move." I was recently hanging out with some other people, and you saw this. There's 3 generations of people that were highly anxious and over-involved and honestly quite judgmental about other people not parenting like they did because they were such helicopter parents. But the result was very anxious people, very resentful people, very judgmental people. And I do love them very much. They have many great qualities, but they have this paradigm. They see the world through this lens that's just not accurate. And they judge other people harshly when they are more grounded and they let go. And they haven't learned to lean into that discomfort, to allow for those natural consequences and not build this world that's wrapped in bubble wrap to protect it from every potential mishap instead of allowing their kids to experience the world and learn that self reliance. My friends, that is all I have for you today. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to utilize that amazing gift of 25% off for 1 month only, ever. That's the only time we'll offer that for everything we have. And it's only for 1 month for the first holiday season ever that all of these things are out. So utilize that while you can to take your fulfillment to the next level. All right, my friends, I'll see you back here every Monday and Thursday with a new episode. Until then.